Hey, hey, hey. Happy Monday to you, wherever you are in the world. I have a question for you, because this seems to be a common theme that's coming up as we start the new week. And that is, are you stuck in some sort of unhealthy, passive-aggressive, indirect, unhealthy entanglement, or what we call in life transformation triangulation? And I want to speak to that. So if you have any questions, hi Robin, nice to see you here. We're speaking about unhealthy triangulation and what you can do to stop that in its tracks. And I'll use an example that's been coming up in my own life. Hi Gail. With my daughter and my husband at the moment, which has been driving me totally insane. And that is that if you have something to say it to the person that you need to say it to. My daughter has been moaning and groaning about going to swimming. And I keep saying to her, I have no point of view whether you are brilliant at swimming, if you love swimming, if you want to swim. I just want you to be happy. And if this isn't fulfilling you, if you're feeling like there's pressure on you to swim and it's taking the joy away, speak directly to your father, because I don't want to have to be in the middle of the two of you coming from a place of not being able to speak to each other directly. And look, we all do this, at some point we're all involved in a triangulation. And I love to use the example of the priest and the prostitute, or the pimp and the prostitute, where, just consider this for a moment, because I do have a point. Hi Caroline, hi Liesel. But this is something that comes up a lot. I remember once I was in a session with one of my amazing clients who's incredible at his job, and he was having some real problems that were affecting his life and his business and his money, and of course, remember, how you do anything is how you do everything, with his boss, who happened to be a woman. And I said, can you imagine seeing her as your pimp, or is she the prostitute? And he said, oh my God, I can see her standing there in a fishnet stockings on the corner. And this is where oftentimes triads or triangulation, entanglement, comes from old unresolved wounds. And this can go back into other lifetimes. It doesn't necessarily have to be this lifetime, but we'll play it out over and over again until we actually resolve it. And so I want to ask you the same question that I asked my client. I said, when were you standing on an opposing street corner with another prostitute, and you both had the same pimp, and you were both distrustful of who was going to run away with the pimp, steal all your money, or try and kill you to actually get the third person out of the equation? And this is not great problem solving, but it happens where you do a little of this, that's fine. But if you're doing a lot of triangulation, it's not healthy. And it's kind of like broken telephone. It keeps you stuck in this Mobius strips where you keep going over and over, and there's no satisfaction, there's no intimacy, and there becomes this separation where it's about me against the world, or you and the other person, or the other person with the other person, like my husband. I hope I'm making sense. This sounds crazy, but like my husband and my daughter. It's like, where are you taking sides, or where are you being the middleman between both parties wanting what they want, and they don't have the courage to actually just go straight to the person that they're having the issue with. Hello, Debbie BB. Hi, Melody. So, this is where we're bypassing. Say, for example, Joe is talking shit about John. And they want you to be entangled in it, because they know that if they tell you the story, and especially if they say, can you keep this between us? Secrets are never a good thing. Anyone that says, oh, you know what, can you keep the secret? I don't like secrets. Secrets just create more disharmony and more separation in relationships. We all want better relationships. Hi, Raven. Hi, Melody. So let me know if this is resonating or if I'm actually making any sense, because this is just like such a painful thing where you have experiences and somebody hurts you, for example, but you don't have the courage to actually be direct and go to that person and say, you know what, I'm really having a hard time with this. I don't know how to do this in a way that's going to let you know that this doesn't work for me. And actually, it's not personal. You know, the people that trigger you the most are the people that grow you the most. So I always say, if someone's pissing you off, get curious. Go back and actually see, what is this person triggering in you? Because that way you don't have to get into this entanglement of triangulation where you're having to bypass the pain, or you think that bypassing the pain and going via, this is the gossip, this is the, taking things personally, this is the stuff that actually keeps you stuck in the same passive, aggressive, unhealthy entanglement. And it's just not good problem solving. Hi, Robin. Yeah, so let me know if this topic relates to you, because really what I'm trying to say is passive aggressive behavior is bullshit, okay? And there's some ways that you can change this. So like I explained with the example of feeling threatened, feeling unsafe, or feeling like, you have something to lose, because we're okay beating the shit out of ourselves, but we're not okay when we think there's something that we're going to lose that comes from another person. So here are some of the ways that you can get out of this triangulation. Exactly like I did with my daughter. I was like, it was draining. It was leaking my energy out because I was playing mediator between my daughter and what she wanted, because she was too afraid to say to her father, I want to swim for the joy of it. Please stop putting so much pressure on me to perform and making me wrong, because there was a lot of blame and a lot of shame that was going on in it. And she was afraid to say to her dad, you're taking the joy out of this thing that I want to do because it gives me pleasure. So don't bypass the truth of what's really going on. Go directly to that person and don't buy into it. If you're the one that's stuck in the middle, don't buy into it. This is where having healthy, strong, flexible boundaries changes everything. And I said to her, I don't want to be in the middle of this. Go and speak to your father. And I spoke to her father and I said, listen, this is what's going on. I am not going to be in the middle of this. I do not want to play mediator here. It's not working for me. How would you respond to this if you were in the reverse? If you were being told you need to get a scholarship, you need to do well because the only way you're going to get into a private school is if you do this thing. It takes all the joy out of it. Hi, Karen. We're talking about triangulation and unhealthy passive-aggressive behavior. And this is the gossip too. This is when somebody comes to you when there's a familial party involved, so someone you both know, and they say, you know what, I'm having such a hard problem, and these are the conversations that go on at the water cooler in the office, or these are the conversations that happen like me with my child, and she's in a foul mood when I pick her up from school because her father said something that pisses her off. So, you need to be direct. And I said, don't involve me in this. The kindest thing to do is ask, what would love do in this situation? Hi, Kelly. Hi, Moniva. I hope this is making sense and that this is helpful. But, it's just like so many times we're afraid to speak truthfully to the person that we've been hurt with or we're having a conflict with. And we need to take responsibility for how we're feeling. You cannot change something from the same place that you created it. So if there's disharmony in your relationships and all you want is deeper connection in the relationships, you have to actually put your big girl panties on and say, go straight to the source. Because I don't know about you, but that broken telephone, you hear what you want to hear. And it's literally like that. By the time it gets across all the pathways of broken telephone, it's not what you said. And this is where more hurt, more projection, more assumption carries on. So if you haven't, or if you're afraid to speak the truth from a place of vulnerability, no blaming and no shaming, you need to take my shadow dancing class, which you can find in my store. And you know, I'm happy right now to actually offer that at the special that I offered for self-love month, because this is the month of trust. So if you want that program so that you can actually start changing the way that you're languaging to yourself and to other people, then PM me and I will happily give it to you for only $111. This is life-changing, because I know how much trauma and suffering is held in place when we're not willing to own our part, acknowledge what's hurting, feel so that you can heal, and get out of this Mobius strip of triangulation. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's work or it's family. It's the same response. It's like if you are feeling contracted, if you're feeling like you're being drained of your energy, if you feel like you're being pulled into an issue that is between two other people and you're the common denominator of that, you've got to be willing to have strong boundaries and say, please stop. This isn't helpful. This isn't very honoring of me as your friend or me as your business colleague to involve me in something that I cannot change. What would you need? What information do you need to stop the complaining and have that hard conversation? You know, if you want to build trust, you have to be trustworthy. And if you're talking behind somebody's back, or you're gossiping, or you're provoking, and you're going into assumptions, all you're going to get is more of what you don't want, more struggle. Remember, what you resist persists. So why don't you cut out the pain, cut out prolonging the thing that you're not willing to go into or buy into, and actually, you know, be the person that's trustworthy. And if you haven't, just as a side note, read Brené Brown's book on Braving the Wilderness, where she talks about what braving is, I highly recommend it, because this is what I've been talking about. How do you turn trauma into truth-telling so that you can return to trust? Well, you got to start trusting yourself that you matter. You have to start looking at your energy leaks. You have to start getting really honest with where you need to start looking at your energy drains and put better boundaries in place so that people don't put you in that situation. Not that they really do, because the minute you buy into it, the minute you put energy onto that, the minute you become involved in triangulation, you get sucked into it. So, hi Reza, hi Tracy. So give me some thumbs, give me some hearts, give me some questions if this is resonating, if this is helpful. Because I see a lot of this going on at the moment, where it's just like we're trying to bypass, right, the spiritual bypass of what our bodies, of what our intuitive, wise woman is trying to tell us, that something's out of congruence. If something's out of alignment, you need to look at it, thank it, love it for bringing it to your attention, even though if you don't love it, and then look at doing what you say you're going to do. You know, you have to do that. You have to raise your vibrational frequency up to meet you and ask, what would love do? If you're talking behind somebody's back, you're not trustworthy, right? If you want to be trusted, trust yourself to have the hard conversations, because passive aggressive is unhealthy entanglement. Get to the source. Be brave. Tap into the courage and do what love asks of you, which is to say it like it is. You know, it can be kind. It can be loving when you come from a place of allowance and you're not imposing your position on somebody else. It always feels heavy and ugly. And I'm sure you can all relate to being put in that situation. But remember too, nobody puts you in any situation. It's choice, whether you're conscious of it or not. Entanglement, triangulation, always comes from a fear of what do I believe I have to lose here? And the thing is that when you're in right relationship, there is nothing to lose. There's only how can I contribute more to that? And it starts by having honest conversations and strong boundaries. So that's my fierce love medicine for you today. I hope that is supportive. And if you have any questions on whether you are in an abusive relationship or you are the one that is abusing because there's some unresolved hurt there, reach out and get some support, because you don't have to do this on your own. We're not meant to move through the world on our own. We can't live in a vacuum in a bubble. And people are going to choose what works for them. Regardless of what you feel or think or believe about it, you have to be willing. I think that's really what loving out loud is about. You have to be willing to let people make their own choices, and also be really honest about where you are giving yourself up in order to validate that, because you have some part of you that is still really stuck in that fear of abandonment or rejection or judgment. So look at the parts that you're judging. And also, coming back to that, and I'll leave you with this too, is triangulation can also be between your true self and your false self. And again, it's just like a lot of time that in regard to another person, you have to get really honest and look at, what is true for you here? Are you going to keep listening to the voice of your inner saboteur and continue the cycle of abuse? Or are you going to get really honest with yourself and actually start looking at what needs to change here? And who do I need to support me? And as always, remember what I say. Whatever arises, love it. There's no trying there. Either you choose to and you learn from it and you move on, or you get stuck in this place of not trusting yourself and continue the legacy of trauma and abuse. So remember too that a lot of time it is really like having the devil and the angel sitting on your shoulder, and it's really about changing when you change your thoughts, when you change your words, when you change your perspective, then you can start to look at the 1 degree shift. So I hope that's supportive. If you need help, you know where I am. And just remember, move into this week, move into this month of trust, where we're really looking at how to turn trauma into truth-telling and make your blind spots visible, bring them into the light in a loving way, so that we can all together as this collective consciousness start healing humanity to return to their hearts, to return to trust. And it starts with doing the inner work. So I hope that is supportive. If you're listening to this on the replay, know that I go back and I answer all your questions, and I read all your comments. So, what can you contribute today to changing this dynamic of a win-lose situation of the pimp and the prostitutes, where it's always coming from this sort of primal fear of loss, rather than what can I add to my life today that's going to contribute to more love, more money, more abundance, more right relationship right away. All right, take care. Lots of love. Bye. Mwah.